Hi and hello everybody, it's Fern. Welcome back to another Plenty video. Thank you so much for joining me today to talk about my favorite plants that I'm really enjoying this spring. I like to do a favorites video once every quarter. I find that that's the perfect amount of time to do a video that can feel a little bit repetitive. And I might even, we'll see. I'll probably stick to quarterly, but yeah, I haven't done a favorites video yet this year, so I am really excited to show you 10 houseplants that I am absolutely loving right now. Starting off with my current obsession inside this cloche is my Begonia pink urchin. Now, this was a major wish list plant for me for many years before I got this. I grabbed this at the end of last year, I believe, and I have zero regrets. This begonia is truly everything that I could have hoped for. It is absolutely otherworldly looking and just so vibrant and breathtaking. Some of you know that for my Vitsto shelf, which houses several of my plants over here, I'm really trying to curate it to be almost like a Victorian botanist's vibe or a shelf of curiosities type of thing, and strange plants like this and flowering plants and stuff like that are really what is bringing that vision to life. So this just suits that area so perfectly, and yeah, it's just a dream. I am obsessed with this plant. This is still small, as you can see, so it very easily fits inside this cloche, so I have not had to do anything special to accommodate it. This is a terrarium begonia, so you're gonna want high humidity. It obviously gets a ton of humidity in here, like 99% humidity, so it's living its best life. And I take this off every once in a while to admire it, let it breathe a little bit, and that also makes it so that water is evaporating at a somewhat reasonable pace so that I can water it again and give it fertilizer and nutrients and everything. This is still just in sphagnum moss, so I do want to pot this up into soil sometime soon, but for now this is just exactly how I received it, and it's thriving. It even has a little flower that is starting to come out, which is so cute. And yeah, I'm just obsessed with this begonia, and it's so nice to have a wish list plant just really live up to your expectations. Like, I'm just so glad that I went ahead and grabbed this. So yeah, I'm just in love with this plant, and I highly recommend it if you have had your eye on it as well. Okay, next we have a stunning variegated plant. This is my variegated Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. Now I have to hold it up a little bit because this actually vines along the wall on my desk in the bedroom. So it doesn't have a support stake. Technically, the wall is just serving as its support for now. But this plant has been absolutely thriving lately, and the variegation on it is just so stunning. This makes me happy every single time I look at it, and it is starting to really grow at a rapid pace. Like, it constantly has a new leaf coming out. Even right now, you can see that there is a new leaf emerging, and as soon as that comes out, there will be another one starting to emerge again. I had a bit of a tough time getting this going, and I also am very nervous when it comes to variegated plants because I have a track record of variegated plants just going all variegated for me, but so far that has not been a problem with this one, and I am just so incredibly happy with it. Rhaphidophora tetrasperma is such an OG plant. When I was first getting into houseplants, it was so incredibly popular. It was like the Instagram plant. So I do have a fondness for it. Like, it feels kind of nostalgic in that way, and it is kind of nice to have like an elevated version of that. And I do think that the variegated version of this plant is worth it. The variegation is stunning. There's like minty patches, creamy patches. This particular one seems very well balanced, and yeah, I'm just so happy with this, and I cannot wait to continue to watch it grow. This is growing in leca, so it's very low maintenance as well. I don't really have to water this super often or really do anything to it. So that just makes it even more lovely. And just the fact that it's so easy to grow. So yeah, I am just obsessed with this one lately as well. Before I forget, I do want to mention growing conditions for these as well, in case anybody is new here. I do monthly walkthroughs where you can see my plants in all of their spots and what their setups look like. But just quickly, this one lives under a Barina T5 light. And the Rhaphidophora, it actually has its own little, it's just like a no-name Amazon stake light with like the halo light on top. Seems to be working for it. It just lives in room humidity, like I said, in the bedroom. It tends to be a little bit on the cooler side in there. And room humidity in my home, right now it's actually been quite humid. It's been in the 60s, but it's typically around like 50 to 55% throughout the year. Okay, next, oh my goodness, if I can get this all to fit in the frame. This is my Begonia white ice, and I feel like I have been talking about this one a lot recently, so you may have seen her in some of my previous videos this month. This one has been catching my eye not only because it's just getting so full and beautiful looking, but also because it flowered for me for the first time. Now they did just all fall off last week, but I will insert footage of what the flowers looked like, and that just elevated this plant so much. I love when plants flower, and it's even better when you get beautiful pink flowers, and that is exactly what this plant gave me. They just looked so gorgeous. They were big, and the way that they were kind of like weighing down the branch, just everything about it just really did it for me. I thought that it looked so beautiful, and it made me happy every time I saw it. This also lives on my Visto shelf, so again, I just love flowering plants on that shelf. I've grown this in a variety of different types of light, and it is currently under a Rousseau grow light, which it seems to be enjoying. My biggest struggle with this plant is always just keeping it hydrated enough. It goes through a lot of water. Like, you really need to be on top of watering with this one. And I did almost get rid of this one when I was doing my big downsize, and I'm glad that I didn't. It's just so hard to choose between all of my begonias. I kept this one because it has such a pink tinge to it, which I think is really, really pretty. And the fact that it flowered for me with those pink flowers just really locks in my decision with keeping this one. Like, I'm very, very happy that I still have it. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. This is my only begonia, I think, or one of my only, this is the only cane begonia I have that is currently potted in soil. Most of them have been transferred over to semi-hydro, which I'll probably do with this one eventually because, like I said, it's just so thirsty. But yeah, overall, I'm really, really happy with this begonia. I think that is just stunning. And this one also is a plant that grows like a weed. Like, it's constantly putting out new growth. I actually pruned this back not too long ago, like a couple of months ago, and I can't even tell where I cut because it just grew back in right away. So yeah, really, really gorgeous begonia, and those flowers were just the cherry on top for me. Okay, next I just have to gush about my variegated Alocasia dragon scale because, I mean, look at her. This plant, I've always loved it, but now that it is really getting to a more mature size, it is just, oh my goodness, it just wows me every single time I look at it. And where I have it situated, it just like takes up its little like shelf area so beautifully, and it's just become such a what's the word? I want to say centerpiece, but that's not the right word. Statement. It's become such a statement plant in my collection, and it is so easy to grow. I find Alocasia dragon scale to be a pretty easy alocasia to grow in general. I've never had like huge issues with it as long as you're giving it enough light. But yeah, the size of the leaves that I'm getting, like this one is huge. Like, are you joking me? That is so crazy how big it is. Oh my gosh. This one has a very Aurea look, but it used to look very albo. And I've mentioned this before, and I had thought that it was maybe a humidity thing because when I was growing it in the cabinet, I had really like creamy white variegation on this plant, and now I grow it just in regular room humidity on the Visto shelf under a Barina T5, and it has this very like yellowy aurea variegation. Now some people commented that it could be temperature related, which could definitely be the case, so I'll be really curious to see as the temperature warms up as we're going into the growing season whether the variegation color is going to change. Either way, I think it's beautiful. And yeah, it's just such an eye-catching, incredible plant. I also love it paired with this pink pot. Like, it is just such a cute combo, and yeah, just everything about this plant, I absolutely love it. So yeah, super easy going as far as Alocasia go, in my opinion. If you're looking for a variegated Alocasia, I highly recommend you check out the Dragon Scale. The Fryedeck is really easygoing as well, but that one is a little bit more prone to pests, whereas this one, it has a very thick leaf, so it doesn't really get spider mites and stuff like that. It does get mealies sometimes, but that hasn't been a huge issue lately. Okay, next I want to talk about a recent success story that I've had with this Alocasia King of Spades. Alocasia Anthurium King of Spades. This has been one of my favorite Anthuriums since I got it a few years ago, and I never really had any trouble growing it. In fact, I thought that it was a very easygoing Anthurium, and I still do think that. However, I must have been on some crazy watering kick this fall because I rotted a few of my Anthurium. Actually, I have like my Veitchii rooting in sphagnum recovering behind me here. So the roots rotted on this one, and there's Begonia flower in there. And I had to cut them all off. I cut the leaves off as well, so it was just a stump. I stuck it in sphagnum moss, put that in a Ziploc bag, and the Ziploc bag method literally fixes all problems. So before I knew it, this thing was popping out a leaf, and this is said leaf. So we have had a complete comeback. There's tons of healthy roots in here. In fact, I'm gonna have to pot this up into a potting mix soon. But yeah, this has just been doing absolutely incredibly, and the leaf was scrunched a little bit. If you watched, I think it was in one of my plant chore videos maybe over the last month, I spotted the leaf emerging in the Ziploc and it was all scrunched up. So I was like, oh no, it's gonna be really damaged when it emerges. What a bummer. But it literally looks almost perfect. And King of Spade leaves, when they're emerging, they go through such a stunning variety of colors. They're very pinky, peachy, coppery, and then they settle into this really dark leaf, and the veins still have a bit of a pink tinge. I don't think that the camera will pick it up, but oh my gosh, it is such a pretty Anthurium. I know that this one is pretty beloved, and I really do think that it deserves all of the hype because it's just so breathtaking, and I can't believe I got this beautiful of a leaf as its first like comeback leaf. That is crazy to me. But yeah, it seems very happy. I now have it living in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet behind me here, where the humidity is usually around 80% on average. It'll probably stay in there for a little while longer, and then eventually I'll take it out because I have had success growing this in just room humidity before, so I know that it can handle it. I will just try not to be rotting its roots again. But yeah, just so freaking pretty. So I obviously had to show this one off because I just cannot stop admiring it lately. Okay, next we have another plant that I have been going on and on about over the past couple of months as well, since this one came back again from like a stump. So some of you have probably seen this quite a few times lately, but this is my Alocasia Pink Dragon, and I just feel like this is such an underhyped Alocasia. I never hear anyone else talk about this one, and I love it so much, so I'm gonna talk about it at any opportunity that I can get. This one is also putting out another leaf for me, which is so cutie. Look at that, so satisfying to see, and the fresh pink petiole, like, you are joking me. So this is one of the main reasons that I love this plant, because of the pink petiole. Like, it is just, and in person it is so pink, you guys. It is like the perfect baby pink. The fresh one is a little bit darker, but it's just so pretty, and I love pink plants or plants that have pink on them. I just think that it adds such a fun pop of color. So she's been really happy lately, and I'm especially glad to see this new leaf come out because this is her first leaf since being out of the cabinet. This now lives in room conditions and gets light just from the windows, and it's not even like directly in front of a window either. I try to move it when I can just a little bit closer to the window, and then I'll like move it back into its spot later. She seems to be doing really well with that. This is also an Hoya variegated Alocasia, but the variegation, I think that it's fun that it has variegation, but I do love just the plain green version of this plant. I think that that one is just as pretty, and it's really easily available as well, as far as I know. I see them even just in like flower shops and whatnot sometimes these days. This one can be prone to spider mites, I will not lie, so you have to kind of keep your eye on that and maybe shower her down every once in a while to prevent them. I do think that the extra work is worth it for this one, and I don't have many Alocasia that are like tall like this. I think I only have this one now. Yeah, that's actually kind of crazy. An Alocasia that I would consider bringing back into my collection is the Alocasia Jacqueline. I still consider it. I still think about that plant. I had one a couple of years ago now, and it grew to be quite large. If I came across one in the plant shop, I probably would grab it, but I do try to keep these like tall kind of Alocasia to a minimum because obviously they take up more space. You can't just like pop them on a plant shelf like you can with smaller like jewel type Alocasia. But yeah, and speaking of downsizing my plant collection and how I've been feeling after doing that, I recently downsized quite a few plants, like 50 plants, and I just wanted to report that I am feeling so good with my decision. I watered all of my plants today, and it only took me like an hour, maybe an hour and a half, which is so much better than the full day that it has taken me in the past sometimes. I feel so happy with my collection. I feel way less stressed about things, way less overwhelmed with things. It's just so relieving, and now, as I anticipated, I have so much appreciation for the plants that remain in my collection, and there's still a lot. I still have over 100 plants, so there's, you know, it is still a big task taking care of all of them. It's really crazy because I got rid of so many plants, but it doesn't feel like it in terms of how my space feels. In terms of the jungle vibes, it feels just as planty, which is a relief, but it feels less cluttered. So it's like win-win-win. There's only been one plant that I've thought, oh shoot, I kind of wish I would have kept that one. And surprisingly, that is my variegated string of hearts. I wasn't really expecting to miss that one because it wasn't a plant that I don't know, gave a whole lot of attention to, but I do kind of miss it. So maybe I would bring that one back in and try growing it in my south window. But overall, I'm just so happy with my decision. 10 out of 10 recommend if you are feeling overwhelmed or burnt out with your collection at all. I feel like it has really just done wonders for me. Okay, next is my Philodendron verrucosum, who I am desperately trying to successfully grow out this year. I've had this plant for, oh gosh, I've probably had this plant for like 5 years at this point. And I've grown it out okay, but I haven't been able to achieve really mature sized leaves. Not even really mature, but just like mature sized leaves. Like they always just stay kind of around this size, which is stunning, don't get me wrong. But this year I'm really dedicated to trying to grow this out to the best of my ability. And I know in the past that the reason I've had to start over or I just haven't had great results is because of underwatering and also pest issues. This plant is prone to spider mites, which, you know, has been a bit of a pain in the butt in the past, but spider mites aren't really that big of an issue for me these days. Like in the past couple of years, I don't know why, I've just been really lucky to, like, they will pop up in kind of isolated cases, but then I'll be able to resolve them pretty quickly. So that doesn't really stress me out much, and I've resolved the watering issue by potting this into pond in a self-watering pot. So now it's not getting all droopy on me anymore. When it was in soil, it was very hard for me to keep up with the watering. This is a very thin leafed philodendron, so she is a thirsty one, but I'm just so happy with how this is growing so far. Like, this is such a dream already, so I'm so excited to see what this is gonna look like by the end of the year. I do have 2 separate vines growing in here, and it's been so fun to get 2 new leaves coming in at once. Like, how stunning is that? But yeah, this is just like, yes, it is a little bit more tricky, but it is such a rewarding philodendron to grow. It is velvety. It has red, like striking red backs. I don't want to bend that new leaf, but the color is gorgeous. It has depth to it. It has a bit of an undulated leaf. It has fuzzy petioles. Like, it is just such an amazing philodendron, and I do have 4 poles stacked here, so I have to be a little bit careful with it. So I'm not going to show you the back, but it does have very fuzzy petioles, and it's just so beautiful. Like, I love this plant so much. So yeah, it's just making me so happy every time that I look at it, and it's been really successful so far growing it out. It does get really long internodes, so I have to just be on top of keeping them pinned to the pole in the right spot, because it will just like grow off of where I've kind of clipped it in, so I have to kind of keep up with its growth. But overall, this setup that I have it on is going really well. And this just lives in my dining room getting natural light. Again, I do kind of shift it to face out the window every so often. Like, when there's sunny days, then I will want to just like pop him in front of there so he can kind of soak up the sun. But yeah, just such a rewarding plant to grow, and probably my favorite philodendron right now. I should have started with this one, and then I could have had it in the background the whole time, but oh well. Oh my gosh, he is leaning a little bit, isn't he? Have I not had any Hoyas in this video yet? That's kind of crazy. But fret not, because I have 2 Hoyas to show you now. This is my Hoya coriaceae, or coriacea, however you say it, silver. And I've had this Hoya for a little while now, and I have struggled to get it to grow, to get it to look nice. However, I've kept it in my collection, and I've continued to experiment with different light situations and different potting substrates, because the potential of this plant is just so good. Some plants I have a lot more patience for than others, and this one I've had a lot of patience for, and it has finally paid off, because this plant is finally growing and it looks absolutely stunning. The minty color, oh my gosh, it is just so incredibly beautiful. This is like peak minty silvery foliage. These 2 leaves here are quite new, and they're just so beautiful. The way that this plant lays, like everything about it is just so gorgeous. And I actually just extended the trellis because we have new leaves coming in up here, even all the way up here as well. So it is very happy. Now the setup for this plant is, it is near the window, but it's on the ground, so it doesn't get a ton of direct light, but I do have a Plant Spectrum grow light set up, I don't know, probably like a couple of feet away from it, and it seems to be really happy with that. I've been told these don't like too much light, so I've taken that into consideration, and I'm trying not to scorch it. I've also gone on the other end of things in the past and had it in too little light, so I feel like I've found the happy medium. And yeah, regular room humidity. This is a very thin leafed Hoya, so it is going to be thirstier than a lot of other Hoyas, so I try to stay on top of that. I have it potted in mollies, which my Hoya tend to love, so I'm not surprised to see this doing better. I have tried this in pon as well and didn't get great results, so yeah, I'm back to the mollies. This also had mealybugs, but I think that they're mostly gone, knock on wood. But yeah, I just had to talk about this one because it is looking so good, and I anticipate it to only start looking better and better as it grows and gets more full. So yeah, absolutely loving this one lately. And then the other Hoya that I have to talk about is actually another silvery kind of Hoya, but in a different, more splashy way. This is Hoya lambii silver, and this doesn't have, you know, a ton of leaves yet, but this is on my favorites because it recently gave me this huge leaf here with a ton of silver splashing, and it almost looks like pink under the grow lights. It is a bit sun stressed. And I was so excited to see this leaf come out because this plant has had a very slow start for me. I think that it gave me this leaf as well, which is stunning, but not as big and impressive as this one. And it was just so fun watching this grow in and just watching the silver splashing develop and everything. I just think it's so, so gorgeous. I'm just excited that this one is finally taking off for me. This lives on my Visto shelf under Barina T5 light, and gets regular room humidity. Maybe it would want more humidity. I feel like sometimes these like crusty looking Hoya like higher humidity, but I think I'm gonna continue to grow it on the shelf for now. Maybe it'll just grow at a slower rate. But yeah, let me know if any of y'all have this one. I would love to see this flower one day as well, so we shall see. But this year I'm mostly just hoping for more of this beautiful foliage. Okay, and then last but not least, I have this crazy Maranta to show you. This is my variegated Maranta, and it has just absolutely taken off for me since I moved it. It was in the window in my bedroom, which is facing out a covered deck, so it doesn't get a ton of light, and it was winter time. I noticed that this was not looking great, so I went ahead and moved it onto my Wally Grow wall where it gets light from the Soltech Highland track light. And pretty quickly I saw a huge size increase in the leaves and an impressive like deepening of the color, which I just think is so gorgeous. Where's the one this one? It's so pretty. Look at that variegation. Like, this is perfection to me. Also, this new leaf coming in, it looks like it has a big chunk of creamy variegation. I cannot wait to see that open. This has been like a whole offset of the plant, and I'm just obsessed with how it's looking. And then it has this weird, this is like multiple plants in one. It has this weird little trailing bit. Let me take it out of here so you can actually see what's going on. This plant actually does kind of trail, so that is what it's doing. You can see it's going down over the side of the pot and starting to trail on me, but I'm just not a big fan of how this is looking. It looks quite crazy, and I just am in love with how this top kind of plant is looking. So I think I'm actually gonna chop this part off, and then it will encourage this to grow more, and maybe I'll get another new little offset to come out and give me these nice big leaves. But this one, it just has like smaller leaves, and I don't know, it's not really doing it for me. So I thought that we could just go ahead and chop it right now, because why the heck not? Pruning plants back when I want to. Like in the past I would have been like, I don't love this, but I also don't want to chop it. But now I'm like, why don't I just go ahead and chop it off? Like, it's fine. So we're just gonna go ahead. Ooh, okay, goodbye. Now we are left with just the top portion, and I think that this looks much better, much cleaner, and yeah, I'll be kind of excited to watch this grow from here. This is potted in pon in a self-watering pot, which is very important because this is a thirsty plant. It has these little flowers coming out as well, which is so cutie. So I think that this is very, very happy, and I will be excited to watch it continue to fill out after that big chop. So yeah, really glad to see this plant doing well, because we were in a rocky patch for a minute there, but now it is thriving. So yeah, that is grand. And that's kind of a theme. Like, a lot of my plants are like on their comeback right now, especially from the neglect that they suffered in the fall. And it feels so good to see. So that is all the favorites that I have to share with you today. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.